Hello. Have you ever heard of nanosensors? No? Well, let me tell you all about them. Nanosensors are like tiny spies that help us learn more about the world around us. They're so small, you can't even see them with your eyes. Imagine if you had a bunch of tiny friends that could go out and explore your room, and then come back and tell you all about what they found. That's kind of what nanosensors do. Nanosensors are so small, they can fit on the tip of your finger. But even though they're tiny, they're super powerful. They can detect things that our regular senses can't, like the tiniest bits of chemicals or even changes in temperature. It's like having a superpower. Nanosensors were developed by some really smart scientists who wanted to learn more about the world around us. They figured out that if they could make something super tiny that could detect even tinier things, they could learn a lot more about our planet and the things that live on it. And so, they came up with the idea of nanosensors. Today, nanosensors are used for all sorts of things. Scientists use them to detect pollution in the air and water, so we can make sure we're not harming the environment. They also use nanosensors to study plants and animals, to see how they're doing and if there's anything we can do to help them. Nanosensors can even be used in medicine to help doctors diagnose diseases or track how well a treatment is working. But how do nanosensors work? Well, it's kind of like a game of telephone. When you whisper a secret to your friend, they pass it on to another friend, and so on, until everyone knows the secret. Nanosensors work kind of like that, too. They detect something, like a chemical or a change in temperature, and then they pass that information onto a computer. The computer can then tell us what the nanosensor found. Nanosensors can be made out of all sorts of things, like tiny bits of gold or even special chemicals. And scientists can design them to detect all sorts of things, from pollution to germs to even the tiniest changes in our bodies. So why do we need nanosensors? Well, they can help us keep our world safe and healthy. They can help us find ways to clean up pollution or track the spread of diseases. And they can even help us stay healthy ourselves by detecting problems before they become too big to handle. But even though nanosensors are super powerful, they do have some limitations. For one thing, they can only detect what they're designed to detect. If a nanosensor is designed to detect pollution, it won't be able to detect a virus. Also, because they're so small, they can be hard to make and expensive to use. So, scientists are always working to make them even better and more affordable. One really cool thing about nanosensors is that they can be designed to be very specific. That means they can detect only one thing and ignore everything else. For example, they can make nanosensors that detect only a certain type of germ, so doctors can know exactly what they're dealing with. Another limitation of nanosensors is that they can only detect things that are close by. That means if there's pollution in the air, but the nanosensor is too far away, it won't be able to detect it. Scientists are working on ways to make nanosensors that can detect things from farther away, but it's a tricky problem to solve. But don't worry, even though nanosensors are super powerful, they're also super safe. Scientists make sure that they don't harm anything or anyone while they're doing their job. What education is needed to work with nanosensors? That's a great question. Working with nanosensors requires a lot of education and training, because it's a very specialized field. First, you would need to go to college and get a degree in a science-related field, like physics, chemistry, or engineering. This will give you a solid foundation in the basic principles that nanosensors are built on. After college, you would then need to go to graduate school and get a higher degree, like a master's or PhD, in a more specific area of study. For example, you might study nanotechnology or material science, which are fields that focus on creating and working with tiny things like nanosensors. In addition to formal education, you would also need to have a lot of hands-on experience working with nanosensors. This means working in a lab and learning how to design, build, and test nanosensors. It can be a challenging and sometimes frustrating process, but it's also very rewarding when you finally get a nanosensor to work the way you want it to. Working with nanosensors also requires a lot of attention to detail and patience. Because they're so small, even the tiniest mistake can cause them to not work properly. So, you need to be very careful and precise when working with them. Many large companies are interested in working with nanosensors because they have a lot of potential applications in various industries. Here are a few well-known companies that are currently working with nanosensors. IBM is a technology company that has been working on developing nanosensors for various applications, including medical diagnostics and environmental monitoring. Samsung is a well-known electronics company that has been using nanosensors in their products for several years. For example, they use nanosensors in their smartphones to detect changes in temperature and humidity, which helps to improve the performance and reliability of their devices. General Electric is a large conglomerate that operates in various industries, including healthcare and energy. They have been using nanosensors in their products to monitor things like temperature, pressure, and chemical reactions. Intel is a well-known semiconductor company that has been working on developing new nanosensors for use in their products. They have been working on sensors that can detect changes in light and temperature, which could have applications in the automotive and consumer electronics industries. Honeywell is a company that specializes in aerospace and defense technology. They have been using nanosensors in their products for several years, including sensors that can detect changes in pressure and temperature in aircraft engines. These are just a few examples of companies that are working with nanosensors, but there are many others as well. Who knows what other cool things scientists will discover with nanosensors? Maybe they'll help us explore space or even find new ways to help our bodies stay healthy. The possibilities are endless. There you have it. Are you excited to learn more about nanosensors and all the amazing things they can do? I know I am.